Hi you guys, this is Sunday Burquest. I'm so glad you're stopping by again. This is actually part 2 in a little mini series I was doing here. And last time, if you had joined me, I had talked about setbacks in life. And one of the biggest setbacks that I've experienced to date, I know it's not going to be the last one, but I shared with you how on April 11th, 2012, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And that day, a tug of war began in my life. That tug of war was between me and the cancer, the setback in my life. And we were vying for control. And when that cancer hit, I basically got the rope pulled and pulled into the mud face down. And you know what? I stayed there for a while. It took a while before I decided that I was ready to stand up and try and take control back of my life. And that happened in a couple of different stages. If you think about a tug of war, you have to stand up to fight. You have to stand up to be in the tug of war, right? Second, you gotta grab the rope. If you're not holding the rope, you're not even participating. I did those two things. The next thing that I wanna talk about is I started to pull back. When you're in a tug of war, you hold onto that rope and you are pulling. I was in a position where I was pulling back and trying to get the control back in my life. Because when you have a major setback, it consumes your life. It can feel like your life is over, like this thing is never gonna go away. And what I learned is that setbacks are really just one scene in your story, one scene in 100 of photos that make up the story of you, and they're temporary. So I decided, you know what, I'm not gonna let cancer to continue to control my life. So I decided to pull back. I was gonna get back that control in my life. That all started in my mind, in my thought life, making the decision that I was gonna do something to change my life. One of the things that I did actually was something my son suggested. He came to me one day after I had gone through cancer and said, "Mom, why don't we apply for Survivor?" Yeah, you heard that right, Survivor. Many of you know that I was on the show and I did get picked, but the thing was it came with me making the decision and it came with me taking action. I had to do something to get control back in my life. And once I knew I was gonna be participating in that show, I decided that I was gonna go to that island, wherever it was, I didn't know at the time, and I was gonna leave the after effects of cancer there. You see, it wasn't just that I had surgeries and chemo, but I had depression, anxiety, different things that affected every area of my life. Here's the coolest thing. One day we had a challenge, it was called the ocean. And I had to swim across a jump off of a platform, swim to another one, climb up a cargo net, grab a key, and jump 10 feet into the water. Me. Have you seen me? I'm not Miss Athletic, okay? But that day, something was in me, and I know it was the Lord. He gave me the strength and the ability. That day was April 11th. It was the anniversary of the day I got diagnosed. So I get diagnosed and I fast forward 4 years and here I'm competing on Survivor and winning a challenge with my tribe. We won. And that moment, I jumped in that water, and when I came out, I knew the after effects of cancer were in the ocean and they weren't coming back with me. That was the moment that not only had I stood up, not only had I pulled back, but I had gained the control back in my life that cancer had taken. I come home and now what I'm doing is I'm speaking to people, other people that have been through cancer. I'm inspiring people by my story. Why? Because I'm nothing special or great. I just decided and I just did something, and you can do the same thing. That tug of war ends with me yanking control completely back into my life. And that means yanking that cancer into the mud, yanking that setback into the mud. And the way that you really take control of that setback is, instead of it having a negative hold in your life, you turn it around and you use it for something positive. And that means that you help somebody else. So I just want to encourage you, whatever setback you're dealing with, think of it as a tug of war and you're going to get your control back. All you got to do is decide in your mind and then do something about it. You got to stand up. You got to hold on. You got to pull back. And you gotta yank that setback and get your control back. The most important thing is using it to help somebody else. I hope you come back next month, and I hope this encourages you. Subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. I would love to hear your story and even be able to pray with you if that's what you'd like. See you next time. This is Sunday Speaks.